Hello everyone. Welcome back to our immigration program series. We hope you enjoyed learning about immigration, and we are now ready to learn more about two immigrants who came to the United States and settled here in Greene County. So I want you guys to first break up into some small groups and we'll go through this program. So today we're going to learn about two immigrants that settled here in Greene County. So we're going to learn about Marie Truer and Amos Mazzolini. So before we get into that, though, depending on your age group, your class, so if it's fourth grade, we recommend breaking into groups and having half the class work on Marie and the other half of the class working on Amos. Now, if you're an older class, maybe 5th and 6th grade, depending on your time, you could have all the students work on both sections of these. Or you can also do the same thing as we recommend for the 4th, which break them up between the class. So it's really up to you. It just really depends on how much time you have to complete the program. So to answer the questions about Marie, we're going to show you which primary resources we're going to use. So does Amy want to talk real quick? What is a primary resource? A primary resource is an object or document that's created at the time of the event. So that's important to remember as we move through this. So all these records we're going to be using, these are all primary resources today. So to learn about Marie, we're going to use two different types of documents. The first document is the passenger list. So you'll want to take some time to review this document before answering the questions. And you will use this for all 5 questions in your packet. Now you're going to also use the Declaration of Intention. So take some time to review this sheet before answering the questions. So you're going to use this to answer questions 3 through 5. Now let's look at which primary resources we're going to use to learn about Amos Mazzolini. We're going to use 2 different sources for him. The first is the certificate of arrival. And so I want you to take a few moments and to look at this sheet before answering the questions. And you only need to use this for question number 1 for Amos.
Now, the other document we're going to use for Amos is the Declaration of Intention. So this is the same document we will be using for Marie, except for it's for him. So take time to review this sheet, and you're going to use this to answer questions 2 through 5, so all the remaining questions. So now that you have taken some time to answer all the questions, let's go through the answers. We're going to start with Marie. Now, question 1, remember we're looking at the passenger list. So what was the name of the ship on which Marie was traveling? And where was it the ship bound? Now, to find the answers to this question, we're going to look at the top of this form. So for the first question, the name of the ship, we're going to look in the top left-hand corner. And you'll see there's a section and it says name of ship, and there it's typed in Westernland. It's outlined in red. To find out where the ship was bound, we're going to look at the top right-hand corner, and you'll see a section where it says where bound, and they typed in New York. So the answer is New York. This is actually a photograph of the ship Marie and her family traveled on. So this is the Westernland. For question number 2, we're still looking at this passenger list. And this question asks about the departure date. So what is the departure date for this ship? Again, we're going to find that information at the top of this form, and it's going to be in the top right. So it's actually above where we found where it was bound. So the date of departure was February 5th, 1939. For question number 3, we were to use the passenger list and the declaration of intention. So you're going to use both of those forms. So let's start with the passenger list. But the question is, what is Marie's occupation? So that would be before she left. And then what is her occupation once she settled here? So in the passenger list, we will see that with Marie's name, if we go over to the column that says profession, occupation, or calling of passenger, for her they have it listed as a music teacher. So Marie worked as a music teacher before coming to the United States. To find out what she did once she got here, we had to look at the declaration of intention. So on this form that she filled out once she got settled, she lists her occupation there. It's the third line down. It says cook. So she actually worked as a cook once she settled here in Greene County. For question number 4, again, we're using both these forms, the passenger list and declaration of intention. So question 4 asks, Marie is traveling with her family. What are their names and what are their relations to Marie? So let's start with this passenger list. So this form doesn't explicitly state their relationship, but we can actually make some inferences. We can make some guesses based on the information we have. So we have 3 people with the same last name. So we have Fritz, Marie, and Robert. So we can probably guess that they're traveling together. And their last address before they came over, they all had the same last address. Additionally, let's look at their ages. So Fritz is 44, Marie is 41, and Robert is 13. So that's another indication as to maybe what their relationship is. So if they were all living together and their ages are what they are and they have the same last name, what do you think that their relationship is? They're a family, aren't they? A mother, father, and son. So let's go to the declaration of intention, and that's actually where it states their relationship. So this declaration of intention, like I stated, it's actually going to tell us how they're related. So if we look here, it states that Marie is married, and then next to that it states the name of my husband is Fritz Truer. So that is her husband. And if we go down further, it states that she has 1 child and that his name is Robert. So we now know that Robert is her son. This last question is a bit more difficult, so you're going to have to think outside the box some. So question 5 asks, where's Marie from originally? Okay, so think where she was born, where's her original home? And if you'll also notice when you're looking at that passenger list that there's a word stateless listed. So what do you think stateless actually means? So use your best judgment with all the information you have, but be sure to examine both those documents because there's some clues in there to tell you why she might be listed as stateless. All right, let's look at the passenger list. For Marie, like I stated, for the country from which the citizen or subject, she's listed as stateless. So it's saying that she's not a citizen, right? But that in parentheses, it says Czech. So Czech actually means below it that she was originally from Czechoslovakia. But stateless, they're saying that she's not a citizen. So why is that? Why do you think that is? Let's look at the declaration of intention to give us a little more information. So stateless actually means, and you'll see here it also lists her nationality as stateless, but her race is listed as Hebrew. Now this is an important distinction because this is 1939. So we are at the beginning of World War II. And during World War II, as the Nazis gained power and they were invading other countries, anybody who was Jewish, they lost their citizenship. It was revoked. So therefore, they were actually stateless. They did not have a citizenship to any country. And she was not a citizen of any country. So she was basically a refugee trying to escape persecution. Now that we have completed the questions for Marie, let's learn some about Amos. Amos came over on the SS Scotia. So this isn't one of the questions, but we wanted to show you a picture of his boat as well, the one that he traveled on as well. For question number 1, you needed to use the certificate of arrival. And that question was, what was the port of arrival for Amos? And when did he arrive? If we look here on the certificate of arrival, for the port of arrival, we're going to look at the port of entry. And they list it as Detroit, Michigan. So he came in through Detroit, Michigan. And when did he arrive? So the date listed there is November 21st, 1929. For the remainder of the questions, you needed to use that declaration of intention sheet. So question number 2 asks, where is Amos living? And where was he born? So let's take a look at this declaration of intention to find those answers. So Amos was living in Yellow Springs, Ohio. You can see there that after he got here, it says his permanent residence now resides in Yellow Springs, Ohio. But where he was born, he listed as, I was born in Barga, Italy. And then in parentheses, they put Tuscany. So he was originally from Italy. Now let's look to see if we can answer this next question. Is Amos married? And does he have any children? So here we see that Amos says, I am married. The name of my wife is Bertha Mazzolini. So yes, Amos was married. But do you have any children? Here it says, I have no children. So we have that outlined in red as well. So Amos and Bertha did not have children. Question number 4. What is Amos's occupation? So what's his job while living in Yellow Springs? And also, what do you think that means? So Amos lists his occupation as a modeling instructor. Now that's probably not a word that most people have, or a occupation many have heard of, but it's actually, he was an artist. He was a sculptor. So if you said that he told people how to model or design buildings, those are really good guesses, but he actually was an artist. He was a sculptor. Now that you know what Amos did for a living and where he was from and a little bit about his life, what do you think he brought with him on his journey? What would be important to him? And also, like I said, make sure to keep in mind those other things, especially his occupation, what he did for a living. So Amos probably brought examples of his work. Maybe he brought some sculpting tools that he really liked and that he wanted to make sure he had once he got here. If he had a particular clay that he liked, maybe photographs of his work. Obviously, he's going to probably want to make sure he has money and family heirlooms, some of those things we discussed in the actual program. So those are probably some of the things he brought with him. And I also wanted to tell you guys that Amos actually was an instructor at Antioch College when he arrived here. So he actually worked in the arts department there.
All right, now we have one more activity, and what we're going to do is a mock citizenship test. So today, if you want to become a citizen of the United States, you have to complete a couple of different exams. And one of them is a civics exam. In the civics exam, there are 100 different questions that the examiner can choose from, and whoever is taking the exam, they have to answer. They are given 10 questions that they have to answer, and they have to get at least 6 of them right to pass. So there are a set amount of questions and a set amount of answers that you can give, and so people usually will take the test and they'll study it really well. It's really hard. So today we're going to do a very abbreviated version of that, and we're only giving you 6 questions. So take a few minutes and answer the following questions. Number 1 is, what country did we fight during the Revolutionary War? Question 2, what kind of government do we have in the United States? Question 3, name 2 rights guaranteed by the First Amendment. And I'll give you a hint that there are 5 of them. Question 4, when was the Declaration of Independence declared? Question 5, how many states are there today in the United States? And question 6, what do the stripes on the American flag represent? So take a few minutes and answer these questions. All right, let's go over the answers. So what country did we fight during the Revolutionary War? We fought Great Britain. You put the British, if you just put Britain, if you put England, those are all acceptable. What kind of government do we have in the United States? We have a democracy. If you put representative democracy, good for you. Name 2 rights guaranteed by the First Amendment. Remember, there are 5, so you only have to name 2 of them to get it right. So the first one that most people think about is freedom of religion. Another one is freedom of speech. There's also freedom of press, freedom of petition, and freedom of assembly. When was the Declaration of Independence declared? That was July 4th, 1776. And how many states are there today in the United States? There are 50. And what do the stripes on the American flag represent? Those stripes represent the 13 original colonies. So we hope you guys enjoyed these activities today. We hope you will also take some time to check out some of our other resources and programming on our website. And you also might be interested in some of our blog posts that give some history of Greene County. So we hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you at some of our other programs. Thank you.